say all kinds of things, hit you or anything, and they don't want you to do anything. They don't want to suspend them for their behaviors. They go around and rip down teachers' bulletin boards, no problem, okay? If a parent comes up, we're now what they call mandatory reporters to DHS. So if a parent comes up to handle their child for their poor behavior, we're supposed to report them. So now the parents are scared to get involved, okay? So it's heavy, but this plan, you're going to see this plan. Everything that he states in this plan, you're going to see it.
Traditional Judeo-Christian family concept with communication between parents and children so that parents can't pass on spiritual values to their children. Do this by pushing excessive child rights. Number 3.
It says remove restrictions on sex. Sex is the biggest joy, and Christianity robs people of this. People must be free to enjoy it without restrictions. It's not just for married, it's for everybody. And you look at how much they're pushing and promoting sex. Push and promote sex. They even have, I'm going to show you a story where they were giving 11-year-olds birth control. Okay? And some of them, they were implanting IUDs in them. Okay? We're talking about 11-year-olds without parental consent. Okay? Also in Oregon, there's a law where they subsidize to have 15-year-olds to get sex change operations without parental consent. Okay? So these people are very satanic. Okay? This is not man's plan. This is Shaitan's plan. All right? And that's why this plan goes on and on and on, because it's Shaitan's plan.
Restrictions on sex. Sex is the biggest joy, and Christianity robs people of this. People must be freed to enjoy it without restrictions. It's not just for married, it's for everybody.
Now, think about it. They're not really pushing abstinence. They're giving them birth control. They're making birth control available so they can go out and do it. Okay?
4. Since
sex is the greatest expression of man's enjoyment of life, man must be free to express sex in all its forms. Homosexuality, orgies, even bestiality are desirable so long as no one is being abused or harmed. In Canada, the Supreme Court ruled that bestiality was legal as long as it was oral. Okay? Yeah, but see, the thing is that it's too much imagery. You're absolutely right, but this is what it is. Well, sister, throughout history, especially in that Roman culture, that's what they were doing. Okay? That's what they were doing. But now they're pushing it on television. Like I said, with the show Family Guy. They had another show on ABC where the dog was in love with a woman. Okay? Well, this one I'm talking about wasn't a cartoon. This one was a live action show. Yeah, I can't think of the name right now. But yeah, it was a show on ABC. It didn't even last a whole season, but you know, this is what it was. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, they've been doing this for years. Matter of fact, I can just show you that this lady, this dog, just got married.
Yeah.
She married her dog.
Yeah.
And the dog just like a woman. Yes.
Oh no, you would be surprised at some of the stuff that's going on.
That's crazy.
Okay.
is the greatest expression of man's enjoyment of life.
But then you got to think about it too. On YouTube, there's no real filters on YouTube, so a child can go on YouTube and see anything. But there was a young Caucasian girl on YouTube that was given 10 reasons why you should have sex with your dog. Okay? So this is I'm telling you, they are pushing stuff on us and we don't even realize it. Okay?
Man must be free to express sex in all its forms. Homosexuality, orgies, even bestiality are desirable so long as no one is being abused or harmed. Number 5.
It says people must be free to abort unwanted children. If a man can have sex and then live without the consequences, then the same should be true for a woman too. A woman must have the right to abort an unwanted child. Okay? And we know what the Quran tells us about abortion. It says, do not abort your children. Okay? So the thing is, these people, these are things that they're pushing, and especially Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is a very evil organization. Okay? It's said that the leading cause of death in African Americans is actually not heart disease, not diabetes, not none of these things, but it's actually abortion. Okay? So there's a piece I can do one day on that, but it's very, very interesting.
People must be free to abort unwanted children. If a man can have sex and then live without the consequences, then the same should be true for a woman too. A woman must have the right to abort an unwanted child. Number 6.
Every person develops soul bonds. So when a soul bond wears out, a person must be free to divorce. When one starts to grow, one must be free to get together with that person, even if they're married. If they are married. So they're pushing adultery. They're pushing divorce. Think about one of the shows that just recently left the air on television. The show was called Scandal, right? The heroine of the story was an adulteress. Okay? But we're not looking at it in that sense.
Well, a lot of Muslims watched it too.
Yeah.
And let you know it on Facebook.
A lot of Muslims watching that. A lot of Muslims watching Empire. Okay? So we're getting caught up. Okay? We're getting caught up in this system. But let me say this: it's a very powerful system. But just as powerful as this is, so is the words of the Quran. So is this deen. And if we stick to it and we live by it, it will protect us from this foolishness. Okay? None of us are perfect. You know, there's no person that ever walked the face of this earth that was perfect. Okay? But, you know, Allah tells you that, if you used to put everybody in hell for committing a sin, there wouldn't be any of us here because, man is imperfect. Only Allah is perfect. Okay?
Soul bonds. So when a soul bond wears out, a person must be free to divorce. When one starts to grow, one must be free to get together with that person, even if they are married. Number 7.
Diffuse religious radicalism. Christianity says Jesus is the only way. Diffuse this by A, silencing Christianity, and B, promoting other faiths, the creation of interfaith harmony. Now, with this was an attack on Christians, but it's also an attack on us too. Okay? But the thing is that when they talk about interfaith dialogue, that's what we're supposed to do. They want to keep us divided. They want to keep us apart. We need to have interfaith dialogue. So
radicalism. Christianity says Jesus is the only way. Diffuse this by A, silencing Christianity, and B, promoting other faiths, the creation of interfaith harmony.
Now, a lot of stuff that they're pushing with these other religions is this New Age stuff. All right? And a lot of this New Age stuff, they talk about man being God, or man becoming God, or man, or there's what they call the conscious black community, okay? And a lot of times they say things like the black woman is God, the black man is God, the sun is God, okay? So it's a lot of that stuff going on. And this goes back to, paganism. Yeah, yeah.
Use the media.
Check this out. Use the media to influence mass opinion. Create mass opinion that is receptive to these values by using TV, film, the press, etc. Note well, what Western believers call normal, the African church would be called pornography. Okay?
influence mass opinion. Create mass opinion that is receptive to these values by using TV, film, the press, etc. Note well, what Western believers call normal in the African church would be pornography.
Now, the Prime Minister of, of Israel, Netanyahu, he said that America should use TV as a weapon against Iraq during the Iraq War. They said that they should use television as a weapon. Okay, so that's telling you something right there, because they wanted to change the values of the Iraqi people, and that's what they were doing. All right, but like I have something to go in depth on that. That is really interesting. Debase art in all its forms, corrupt music, painting, poetry, and every expression of the heart, and make it obscene, immoral, and occultic. Debase the arts in every way possible. And a lot of these music videos that they show, occult symbolism and everything, okay? Where they're showing the horn signs and all of that kind of stuff. This is used regularly now by Muslims. But they don't know. The reason they don't know. Go ahead, sister.
But you know the bottom line, Allah says in the Quran, you plan and I plan and I'm the best
of planners. Absolutely right.
All of this, Allah's the best of planners.
Absolutely right.
It's not going to work. And as far as what she said about the Nation of Islam, the Nation of Islam, because I go down to the Temple, like I said, I was once a part. They changing it. They changed it. They're not talking about so much God is man. You know, they changed it because a lot of sisters from the Nation of Islam and brothers, they come here. So this is
everything happens in due time.
Exactly. So they're not talking about God. You know, because like I said, I came in the Nation of Islam when I was 10 years old, and that was rhetoric.
Right.
But when Imam Muhammad came, he talked about it. He explained that, like you said, Islam, we went through it. You know, that was the stage we went through.
Right.
But they're not talking about that no more. They're not so much. They're not. I'm seeing they're not so much talking about God as a man.
Right.
You know, they changed a lot of things.
Right. See,
I'm just saying they changing a lot of it.
right. And see, like I said, everything happens in due time. You know, everything, like you said, is a part of Allah's plan.
Exactly.
Okay. But like I said, and a lot of the music and stuff, they're incorporating Satanism. Okay? Satanic symbolism and all of that stuff in music videos and the concerts and all of that kind of stuff. Okay?
In all its forms, corrupt music, painting, poetry, and every expression of the heart, and make it obscene, immoral, and occultic. Debase the arts in every way possible. And number 10.
Get the church to endorse every one of these 9 strategies. Get the church to accept these principles and to say they're okay. Then legal grounds is given for those values to get a foothold. And that's what's happening. The churches can't speak out against homosexuality. Okay? And you know, there was one case where a pastor, I forgot what state it was in, but the pastor had to turn over, they wanted him to turn over his sermons. The mayor wanted him to turn over his sermons to see if he was speaking out against homosexuality. Okay? Right. So the thing is that a lot of churches and stuff, they're controlled. Because when they take what they call the 501c3 status, they control what you say. Okay? Go ahead, sister. Right. Right. See, the thing is that, you know, one quote from Alice Bailey was, she said, don't worry about the older generation, focus on the children. Because they said the older generation is too set in their ways. But the children, they're sponges, like the guy was saying. From the years, well, he's saying scientifically, from the first 7 years of a child's life, they're open to absorbing all of this stuff. That's why they're promoting homosexuality in the schools. Okay? Go ahead, sister.
It reminds me that Outwitting the Devil, that book. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Wait a minute, say, what was it called again?
Outwitting the Devil.
Oh, Outwitting the Devil. Okay. Never heard of it. But I'm going to look into it, though.
The church to endorse every one of these 9 strategies. Get the church to accept these principles and to say they're okay. Then legal ground is given for these values to get a foothold.
All right, so we see this stuff happening in society clearly. Okay, so these strategies, they're already underway. They've already been using them for a long time. All right, but let me show you this.
You are now, or have ever been, a parent to a 15-year-old, you know just how impressionable and fickle they can be. Keep that in mind as we tell you about a shocking new policy in one western state that would allow 15-year-olds to have sex change procedures done without parents even knowing about it. Here's correspondent Dan Springer in Oregon.
15-year-olds in Oregon can't smoke, give blood, or get a tattoo, but now they can get drugs to suppress puberty and even a sex change operation without their parents' consent, and the government will pay for it.
It is trespassing on the hearts, the minds, and the bodies of our children. They're our children. And for a decision, a life-altering decision like that to be done unbeknownst.
But now you have to question, are these our children? It's like we're renting them. It's like we're renting them. Because all they have to do is have some kind of, they could falsify a charge against you, they can come into your home and take your children.
The little, even 9-year-old boy, he did get a sex change.
Mm-hmm.
He cut off, he had a sex change, he did.
Yeah.
And I think it's from Chicago that had it done.
Oh, these people are sick. I'm telling you.
In fact, not only that, the homosexual got more right than a woman don't have.
And they also have a lot of Muslims coming from overseas, giving our children a lot of distorted thinking of Islam. You have to dress like this, you have to wear all black, you have to cover your face, you have to walk in the masjid with your right foot, and they really think that.
Well, see, the thing is that we have to start remembering that the Quran is the guide.
Exactly.
The Quran is the guide. You know, the words of Allah. Allah says, if a book isn't from Allah, in it you'll find many discrepancies and contradictions. You know, because it's from man. Man is fallible. Man makes mistakes. Okay? Allah is the only perfect. He says in the Quran, Hada Kitab. This is the book.
Exactly.
With guidance clear without doubt. Okay? So, you know, there's a lot in, you know, I knew I had to know Islam for myself, so no one could dictate to me what Islam was. You know.
Or a guardian it's mind-boggling.
The decision was made by Oregon's Health Evidence Review Commission, or HERC. With no public debate, it began covering cross-sex hormones, puberty-suppressing drugs, and sex reassignment surgeries for Medicaid enrollees in January. A transgender activist says not requiring parental permission will save lives through suicide prevention.
Parents may not be supportive. They may not be in an environment where they feel the parent will affirm their identity.
The American Psychiatric Association classifies gender dysphoria as a mental disorder. A 2008 study concluded most children with gender dysphoria grow out of it after puberty. Johns Hopkins University was the first U.S. medical center to perform sex change operations, but stopped after studying the outcomes. Its longtime director of psychiatry calls Oregon's policy child abuse.
We have a very radical and even mutilating treatment being offered to children without any evidence that the long-term outcome of this sort would be good.
We tried repeatedly to get an Oregon Health Authority official on camera to explain and defend the sex change policy, but they kept putting up roadblocks. In fact, one spokeswoman even lied to us about the medical director's work schedule. We eventually found her. Hey, Dr. Smits? Can I ask a couple questions? The Oregon Health Authority can't say how many children have been treated by the state for gender dysphoria since January. HERC estimates it will lead to one less suicide attempt a year and cost about $150,000. In Salem, Dan Springer, Fox News.
And the other thing that they're doing also now is when the child is born, they're not assigning the child a gender. They're saying they're going to wait until the child is 4 years old, and that way the child can decide if it wants to be a boy or a girl.
That's crazy.
Go ahead, sister.
One of the things about those sex changes,
Mm.
Paganism was one of the first hospitals in the country. A lot of people didn't know about it, that back in the late 70s, they were the first ones that were performing sex changes.
Wow.
And I had worked in the library, and the doctors had to come to get the documentation on how to perform the sex changes.
Right.
And a lot of the studies that was done on that, even though they did that sex change,
Mm.
if they were going to commit suicide before they had the sex change,
Right.
that problem is still going to carry with them after the
Mm.
so.
And that's what he was saying, because sometimes these children are so fickle they change their minds, okay, or they're not feeling that anymore. But I think my time is almost up. But
Just let me make one comment.
yeah, sure.
Beloved brothers and sisters, if you could please hold your remarks till after he's finished the entire presentation, because we have run out of time. We want to hear get the full benefit of what he has to offer.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
All right, shukran Aki. But now, this one last piece. I mean, I have a whole bunch, but here's one last piece I want you to see. I think this is very important to the conversation. All right. How many are familiar with Aaron Russo?
Well,
Anybody familiar with Aaron Russo? All right. Aaron Russo was a director and producer in Hollywood. He directed Trading Places with Eddie Murphy. He also did some movies with Bette Midler. But he also did this documentary called America, Freedom, and Fascism, where he was searching to find the law that said that we had to pay income tax. All right, very interesting documentary if you were to watch it. But what happened was an attorney friend of his asked him if he wanted to meet one of the Rockefellers, which is one of the elite families. Okay, so he said sure, I'll meet him. So when they met and they established a relationship. And then this guy started revealing all kinds of stuff to him, all right? He told them that there was going to be an event 11 months before it happened. And he said that they would be looking for people in caves and they were never going to be able to find them. And he said it was all a farce, okay? But he also asked him about women's lib. Can somebody real quick tell me about the women's lib movement? What do you think that was about? Anybody want to? The suffrage movement. But I mean, what was the idea of women's lib? All right, but what was the idea that they told you it was about? That society says it was about? Equality. Okay. All right. But now watch this. This is what the Rockefeller told him about women's lib, the women's lib movement. All right? Check him out.
Was that he was at the house one night and we were talking and he started laughing. He said, Aaron, what do you think women's liberation was about? And I said, I had pretty conventional thinking about it at that point. I said, I think it's about women having the right to work, getting equal pay with men, just like they won the right to vote. And he started to laugh. He said, you're an idiot. And I said, why am I an idiot? He said, let me tell you what that was about. We, the Rockefellers, funded that. We funded women's lib, And we're the ones who got all of the newspapers and television, the Rockefeller Foundation. He says, and you want to know why? He said, there were two primary reasons. And one reason was we couldn't tax half the population before women's lib. And the second reason was, now we get the kids in school at an early age. We can indoctrinate the kids how to think, which breaks up their family. The kids start looking at the state as the family, as the school, as the officials, as their family, not as the parents teaching them. And so those are the two primary reasons for women's lib, which I thought up to that point was a noble thing. You know, when I saw their intentions behind it, where they were coming from when they created it, and the thought of it, I saw...
So it was to destroy the family, to get the woman out the homes, and then that way there would be no one there to teach the children. So now what's educating the children? The media, television, the internet. Our children are spending more time with this media than they are with us. So they're taking on the ideas and the belief systems of this media. So now I got it. When you put the education of your children in the hands of your enemy, your child will become your enemy. And that's what's happening.
And you notice there's more daycare popping up all over the place.
Exactly. Exactly.
All over. You can't walk one block without seeing a daycare.
Because this is the plan. All right?
Behind what I thought was a noble venture.
And the lady that was behind it, there was a lady that was big behind this. Her name was Gloria Steinem. All right? But then they later found out that she was a CIA agent. And her magazine, it was called Miss Magazine, it was being funded by the CIA. All right? So there's a lot going on. But we have to start to study. We have to start getting into the Quran more. You know, we have to start teaching our children because this system is on us. But we have to understand it so we know how to best combat it. Okay? But we'll stop there because I had so much to show y'all, but I only had a little bit of time. But we'll end with Surah Ikhlas. All right? A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Say, He is Allah, the one, the only, the eternal, the absolute. Neither does He beget, nor is He begotten, and there is none like unto Him. Ameen.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.